Tiers 1.0 are live on CBSSports.com. Let's start with first base and third base up next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Monday, January 22nd. I am Frank Sanford, joined by Scott White. And let's begin things with the first rounders in your first base tier, Scotty. And that includes Freddie Freeman, Matt Olson, and Bryce Harper. The also elite tier features Pete Alonso and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And the near elite, Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt. 7 names up top, none of which are Christian Walker. Where is Christian Walker, Scotty?
So Christian Walker is in the tier after those top 3, the next best things. It's a very large tier at first base. I guess I'll just go ahead and read through those names too. It includes Tristan Casas, Spencer Steer, Spencer Torkelson, Yandy Diaz, Vinny Pasquantino, Josh Naylor, and Christian Encarnacion Strand. I like a lot of names from that tier. I love the breakout potential of Tristan Casas and Vinny Pasquantino, especially. Saw a lot of good things from Spencer Torkelson late last year. I don't want to tier Christian Walker in such a way that's virtually going to guarantee I draft him and prevent me from drafting up one of those others. I think Christian Walker is a pretty unexciting choice at first base relative to them. And so I'd be more likely actually to move Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt from that previous tier back into this tier alongside Christian Walker. I have concerns about both of them. They're actually both among my bust picks, are Bellinger and Goldschmidt for this year. Ultimately, I decided to leave them ahead for now because, there's some big concerns in this tier. The big tier with Tristan Casas, maybe he remains a platoon player. Vinny Pasquantino coming off shoulder surgery, maybe he's not quite right. And I think I think maybe the floor outcome for Bellinger and Goldschmidt isn't as severe as that. But that's why I ultimately decided to tier Christian Walker the way I did, is just that I think if I'm going to if I'm going to accept his lack of upside, I'd rather go for the upside of like a Tristan Casas instead, if that makes sense.
All right, let's slide over to your third base tiers. The first rounder, that's right, not multiple, just one. Jose Ramirez, the also elite tier. Austin Riley, Rafael Devers, Gunnar Henderson, and Alex Bregman, who is one tier lower in a categories league. And the near elite, which features Manny Machado, Ellie De La Cruz, Nolan Arenado, Royce Lewis, and Ha-seong Kim. Worth mentioning, Manny Machado underwent surgery on his right elbow extensor tendon and could start the season as a DH while he, continues to rehab, the throwing part of that injury. But Scott, this near elite tier is very interesting because some of these names are not like the other, right? Manny Machado has done this for years. Ellie De La Cruz is the young, fun, up-and-coming stud. But it also has Ha-seong Kim. So What's going on with the near elite tier?
Well, tiering at positions is not always a neat and clean process. In theory, the tiers you're making are including players who are more or less equivalent in value. And my feeling is the same as yours, where I see Manny Machado and Ellie De La Cruz in the same tier as Ha-seong Kim, and something doesn't seem right about that. Of course, Manny Machado at this time last year and for most of his career, frankly, has been drafted more like an also elite, like Austin Riley and Rafael Devers. Just last year, I think he was going ahead of them in a lot of leagues. And he had a pretty good year. It was a little underwhelming by his standards, and now he's coming off the surgery. So, it's kind of abundance of caution, I think, tiering him below those guys right now. And Ellie De La Cruz, for me personally, is the same way. If you look at NFBC ADP, I believe he's going 21st overall. So he would certainly be in the higher tier with Austin Riley and Devers. But, he hit under 200 in the second half and has major contact and launch angle issues that compel me to play it safe with him. Meanwhile, Ha-seong Kim, okay, not a ceiling that compares to those guys, but he did hit 17 homers, steal 38 bases last year. He was an extremely valuable player with triple eligibility. I don't feel great about it either. And I think maybe in tiers 2.0, I'm not ready to commit to this, but it's something I'm going to have to think about, where maybe Machado and De La Cruz move up a tier, or maybe Ha-seong Kim moves down a tier. Because, yeah, it just doesn't add up for me, them being in the same tier. And, there are complicating factors like Ha-seong Kim being triple eligible. I want him in the same tier at second base and shortstop as at third base. And you look at some of the players in the same tier with him at those positions, and they do belong with him. So third base is just, I think part of the issue is just third base is so loaded with talent that finding exactly where those dividing points are is harder. Just because the talent is so great.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again on Wednesday. Bye-bye.